Hey guys, my name is Simpzy. How are you all doing? Welcome to the start of a brand new campaign series here today on the channel. We're going to be playing DCI Last Alliance as the Numenorean Kingdoms. So guys, if you like the sound of that, feel free to leave the video a like, subscribe if you're new around here with notifications on, let me know in the comments feedback and suggestions for the series and where you'd like me to expand and conquer. Patreon and YouTube memberships are all available in the description below as well. Completely optional, but helps out the channel. So we're going to be playing on the DCI Last Alliance submod for 3rd Age Total War, set in the 2nd Age of Middle-earth. We're going to be playing as High King Elendil, King Isildur, and King Anarion. So, the way Numenor is set up in this submod, it's basically we control one entire kingdom, essentially divided into two areas, Arnor and Gondor. We're going to be doing a long campaign. Actually, yeah, so we're going to be doing a short campaign, technically, with 35 regions. However, I'm going to do sort of my own victory conditions. We're going to knock out the Wildmen. I want to knock out Mordor, the Hillmen of the North, which isn't a part of those set victory conditions. We could betray the Men of the Mountains, which I think are the ghost dudes in the third movie. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I hope you enjoy the intro. Let's get stuck into it. Rightio then, guys. Welcome to the campaign map. Welcome to Middle-earth. 100 years and 10 years have passed since the fall of Numenor. Yeah, because we are technically the Numenoreans in exile as the island was sunk by Sauron, as it were. Okay, so we've got a couple of options here, scripts-wise. Following scripts are optional. Click accept to enable these skips in campaign. Look, I'd probably, yeah, so fire, shadow and fire. So we don't want the Balrog. We don't want those raids. And no, I don't want a normal Nazguls. So people always get really infuriated because I don't like all the unique scripts. I want to be able to kill Nazguls, man. So brothers in arms, bring Elendil to Mithlond to form the Last Alliance. So we can definitely do that. So welcome to the Kingdom of Gondor. in the bottom, and then we've got Arnor up in the north. So our capital is actually Osgiliath. In this time period, Osgiliath is a flourishing and like awesome city. The population, as you can see, is far bigger than that of Minas Tirith or Minas Arnor. So at the moment, we have a couple of decent territories. The elves like border us here as well. Dol Amroth is only a small principality at this time period. So down in the south, we probably want to build. It's not even like reconquering. It's building up Gondor. So we'll do that. We'll do a bit of a rebuild down here. We also control Helm's Deep and Isengard, which were ancient Numenorean castles, which is quite cool. We've also got Isengard to the north there as well. Angrenost. Some of these words are going to get the better of me. Pushing up towards the Shire and Tharbad into Bree. We have North and South Tharbrad. We've also got... So this is Arnor up in the north. This is where... High King Elendil and King Isildur will be starting off, and this is the Arnor capital of Numinas. So we got High King, who is our faction leader. We also technically have two heirs as well. Isildur, obviously the ancestor of Aragorn, and he's going to be sort of hanging up in the north. So we're basically controlling two factions, which would be a lot of fun. Elendil, his son. He's actually got 3 sons as well. So the line of the High King looks like it's going to continue. So we've got we've got King Anarion. God, so many of these names. Getting tongue-tied. So he has 3 daughters and 1 son, and will essentially allow him to push for Mordor and stuff. So we're going to be doing a short campaign. The main objectives of this series is to eliminate Mordor and the Wildmen, of course. I'd like to get rid of the Hillmen of the North. Let me know if I should betray the Men of the Mountains. There's also a really cool crusade mechanic in this as well. So I'll just do a toggle foe here, and I'll show you guys the world map, because this is technically a submod for 3rd Age Total War. It's actually on the vanilla map for 3rd Age. It's not the divide and conquer, so it's a lot smaller. So as you can see here, there are a lot of rebel territories. We have the Wildmen here, which I want to try and finish off. There's no Rohan, of course, in this time period. We've got the Ents there. Oh, Treebeard's still hanging out. 39. He's a young little sapling, isn't he? So I'll put in the description below the mod if you guys would like to download and play along with me. Khazad-dûm is there as well. And then we've got the Hillmen to the north, where the Orcs of Gundabad would be. We have Lindon there with the Elves. We've also got some more scattered Dwarven kingdoms as well. So let me know feedback and suggestions. If you don't like 3rd Age or Medieval 2 for whatever reason, feel free to leave a dislike. That is why the button is there for. And it helps me sort of gauge your response. Okay, so we'll turn toggle foe off. I just wanted to sort of give you guys a couple of bearings and how the map sort of changes. We've also got further Elvish kingdoms to the north. So I think the best and our main objective firstly is to secure the Mordor front. So I want to get everyone to rally at Eastern Osgiliath, and we'll try and build up an army to throw back and hold off Sauron. So we'll try and allow my Gondor front to focus on Mordor, trying to get rid of Sauron the Deceiver as quickly as possible. And then once we're sort of in a comfortable position, we can essentially send out some colonists westward to secure the, well, I guess historic borders of what Gondor was at its height under the stewards of Gondor. So we'll send up King Anarion, and it's going to be fun attacking Mordor. It's great to be back on 3rd Age Total War. I've been looking forward to the Last Alliance mod for so long now. It's been in development for quite a long time. I'll put in the description below the mod if you guys would like to download and play along with me. It's pretty simple. There's a lot of cool and unique factions. Oh, some sentinels there. Those archers are quite good. Yeah, so you basically just need to download 3rd Age 3.1 and then add the submod over the top over it. There's a lot of great tutorials on YouTube from other content creators, so I don't need to do one, but I'm sure you can find some. Okay, so move my navy to Peligria. I don't know if we're necessarily going to need them, so that's the plan for the Gondor front. Try and knock out Mordor as quickly as possible, because we are at war with them and they're probably our greatest enemy, and we'll build up and explore the eastern provinces. We've also got a sort of small central kingdom towards Helm's Deep and Isengard. We do have an alliance with the Men of the Mountains, so I don't fear them, but maybe expanding a little bit westward into the Wildman territory and taking some of what would have been Rohan's territory. So I want to build 2 glorious kingdoms and bring back the glory days of Numenor in this new Earth. Okay, so we'll try and just rally everyone up there. Up in the north, yeah, High King Elendil and Isildur can focus on the Wildmen and the Hillmen of the north. Slowly but surely building up the Shire and maybe helping our Elvish Linden counterparts wherever they need us. Okay, construction-wise as well, we want to just try and go with growth, roads and buildings as such. So everyone's slowly but surely rallying up in Osgiliath. There might be some rebel territory in and around here we can go for, so let's push out of Isengard. North and South Tharbad is going to be the other rally point, as it were. We do need to send High King Elendil to Linden to secure the Elves and Numenor alliance. And we're essentially, once that happens, I think it's about 25 turns in or so, we'll be able to get access to the Crusades mechanic, which is cool. What's this? Oh, I know. I thought this was a bit of a bait. So, essentially, there's a settlement that doesn't have anyone in it that's rebelling. And I couldn't recruit from it. Oh, okay. So, it's a bit of a bait to engage a war with the wild men. Okay. So, we pretty much dominate everything. We're the largest faction, strongest faction, most advanced. Don't forget to read the faction information. Oh, yes. I did notice this. So, if I press F1, which I will in a moment... so yeah, we're at war with the wild men. Okay, that's fine. And they took that poor settlement. Yes, I can have access to crusades and various stuff. I think the elves have a unique underway mechanic, which is quite cool. So they can move around their territory quite quickly. Next air, Shift H, use the ancillary trade. I love that feature. I wish it was in Medieval 2 Total War. I know it's in Kingdoms. I've been trying to look for the Stainless Steel mod for that. And we can use the Palantir, which is Control P. Cool beans. Okay, guys, welcome to the top of the turn. I've skipped a little bit ahead, as I'm slowly but surely rallying the Numenor forces. We've sent High King Elendil to Mithlond to meet with the elves and to secure the last alliance. So he just needs to sit there for a turn to that to initiate. Okay, so we've got a full stack here with King Anarion, and we have Mendil, Thingol, his son-in-law. Yeah, so we've got his son and his son-in-law. So he's going to be focusing on trying to take Minas Ithil back, as Mordor has controlled Minas Morgul. So Laglug has come out. Look, I might actually play this one just to show you off the cool and unique Numenor units. But some of them you guys would see if you've ever played as the Kingdom of Arnor and reforged them in 3rd Age Vanilla. So we have 2,442. They only have 400. So let's fight this one, 4-star commander. And I'll be able to show you guys off the units and what we're going to be using throughout this series. We'll eventually as well build up better quality construction and recruitment buildings in and around Osgiliath and Minas Tirith. And we'll make sure to get that armored plates as well, because that's always a really good feature for Gondor / Numenor. But let's have a look at the units we're going to be operating with. So we have 6 units of archers and a decent amount of infantry as well. So let's quickly just rally up here, and then we'll try and retake Minas Ithil straight up. So we'll allow my archers to be in the front line, target and try and phase out the orc Mordor host. And we'll allow our cavalry to push out. I got angry at myself calling them goblins. So we've got some heavy infantry here. Archers as well. Stock standard swordsmen at the back. Some further higher tier archers. Axemen of Gondor. And we've got some Numenorean guards for the general units. We're going to be able to use them a lot in this campaign, as we have we've actually got a really long and secure family tree, which is fantastic. And here are the pike units further at the back as well. The Dome Wardens Spearman variant. Alright, let's start the battle. So that's a little bit of a taste, a little bit of a tease as to what we're coming up against. So we've got some orcish archers moving up here. Far out, those guys look grisly. And we've got some Mordor bodyguard further at the back. I'm curious to see how my archers will perform. We've got decent archers. They're not amazing compared to their elvish counterparts, but it's better than nothing. We're going to excel in heavy and medium infantry, but our recruitment will be lacking. But I think that's where I sort of want to go for this campaign. Build up and forge the Kingdom of Gondor. Destroy Sauron, which is easier said than done. Trying to eliminate Mordor, the quicker the better. But we are a little bit overextended because we are focusing on multiple factions and opening fronts. We can't be like my previous Third Age Divide and Conquer campaign playing with Gondor. We couldn't like focus all our forces on one faction. We are divided. If the Hillmen and the Wildmen start raiding and the Men of the Mountain betray us towards Isengard and Arnor, we could be in a difficult position. So they just seem to be running away here. I'm not entirely sure what's happening, so we'll just try and skirmish them out as best we can. The King's archers are getting some good shots off there. Oh, they look so cool. Really invoking that first battle in the Fellowship of the Rings. Bring them down, lads! Okay. And if you guys want to see more Third Age on the channel, some more of this DCI Last Alliance submod, support the video and I'll do more. But let me know in the comments feedback and suggestions. I plan to do about 10 or so episodes of this series, and we should be able to hit those objectives. I went with a short campaign because I don't want to be holed. Like, I looked at a long camp. Like I said, I essentially want to do a long campaign, but I didn't like the specific victory conditions and settlements. But by the time we hit my main objectives of destroying Mordor, the Wildmen, the Hillmen, and potentially the Men of the Misty Mountains, and build Arnor and Gondor into glorious kingdoms, worthy of Elendil's heirs, as it were, we can end it there comfortably. But you never know, we've got some dwarves near us as well. I don't particularly want to defeat sort of good factions, but yeah, you never know as well. We do border Harad in the south and Hrun. There's no real reason why we couldn't deal with them, so we're just trying to skirmish them out where we can, and they're trying to trade with us back. The quicker we can get rid of this Mordor bodyguard and the infantry, the better. So we're quite close to them, and we're just trading. I've moved my horse archers on the flanks, ready to initiate hammer and anvil strikes when need be. They're not doing too bad, but 81, that's now rocketing down. Only 20 or so for there, 90. They're not doing too bad, but they could be performing a lot better.
Half the enemy force remains.
Okay, we can pull them back now. Okay, so they actually closed the distance quite quickly on me. I was curious to see how the skirmish mode will work there, so maybe I need to be a little bit more, let's say, Johnny on the spot with those rotational movements. So we'll allow our archers to do most of the work, the heavy lifting, and we'll stand in a defensive position for now, just soaking up arrow fire. We'll have the general's bodyguard to deal with that as well. Let's throw down some leadership buffs. Alright, let's swing my cavalry up and further around. So the general's bodyguard, out of all the units to pick and attack, they hit the dome wardens. And now they're starting to rout, which is fantastic. Yeah, I want my archers to not fire against them because you're going to cause more friendly fire than what it's worth. Focus on the archers. We might even get some spearmen to sort of pivot around against them. Actually, what I'll do, I'll get my yeah, there we go. Get the cavalry to run down the archers. We'll get a couple shots off because they're a little bit further away. They don't even need to kill the archers, they just need to disrupt them. Okay, now they're interlocking with the wardens. We'll swing around with some Gondor spearmen and hit them from the rear. But I'm quite impressed about their bodyguard, they're doing quite well. But to be honest, stat-wise, they're more than likely on par to our Numenorean warriors. Okay, well, let's try and run down as many of these orky boys as we can. Realistically, this would have been a clean cut auto resolve. However, I don't mind playing this battle just to start me off. It's been quite some time, probably 6 months or so, since I've played the Third Age mod, but I'm excited to be back in it. I haven't actually tested out the new Divide and Conquer update either. I believe it's version 4.5, so we could probably, maybe after this campaign, have a look towards that. It's been quite a while since I've done an evil faction, so maybe we should play as Harad or Rune, or I was thinking more or less Isengard. But it just depends on your guys' feedback and general suggestions. So we lost 82 in that fight. We managed to destroy 382 orcs. What type of yoga poses is that? I guess that's Gandalf and just the the treeman ready to attack Isengard. Some of the artwork in these mods is stunning, is the word that comes to mind. There are some things that are better to begin than to refuse, even though the end may be the dark. Aragorn, Lord of the Rings. Okay. So we've had our first successful battle, and I guess then we sort of naturally try and progress to the battle, to the siege of Minas Ithil, what the Dark Lord invoked and called it Minas Morgul. Okay, so we've got Laglug there. He's only worth 1k. He's a 4-star general, so maybe just executing him straight up. It might be not a bad idea technically if you really wanted to ransom, get the 1k and farm army and general experience for the Men of Gondor. I personally in Medieval 2 prefer to go down the Dread route, but most of these guys are a bit chivalrous. Brothers in Arms, High King Elendil, reach Mithlond. Yeah, okay. So that's now done, which is cool. The alliance has been invoked. So it's going to take a little while before we can call a crusade on the enemies of our alliance. We might do that before we, like, attack Sauron or something. Planning is underway in a few years. Yep, sweet. Okay, so we're currently besieging Minas Ithil. And we'll focus on that. Still convalescing, rendezvousing at Eastern Osgiliath. But let's play this one. Zagthak. 2-1. We have 2.3 against their 1.1k. Let's fight this one on the battlefield. And reclaim the fortress. The ancient elvish dwellings. And of the haven at the mountain at Thornland, which was... Okay, right. Some useless facts about elves. Okay, let's start the deployment. Oh, yes. I didn't need ladders. Oh, I've forgotten this, because it's only... they allow you to build ladders, but... you only need a battering ram, because there's only one way in. A nice, clear day at Minas Ithil. I kind of like that, because there hasn't been too much sort of evil and corruption, I guess, is the best way. So the way we're going to play this is we'll just try and rally up with my siege equipment. We'll gain some of the... we'll get the heaviest warrior with like decent melee defense and attack and armor. We'll allow him to move up. So we'll move the king's infantry there. And we'll just chuck everyone there less. So we'll move up. We'll break down the battering... we'll break down the gate with the battering ram. Can we get any higher up here? I do know some of the pathfinding in Third Age and in the Last Alliance submod is a little bit clunky, so bear with me. So we'll try and move them up. We'll try and reform this a little bit better as well. So we'll break it down. We might even... yeah, actually we've got a shield formation with them, don't we? So we can go into shield formation. And then we'll allow my archers to try and do most of the work. Okay. So even though this is technically on the Third Age mod, I'm going to try and not refer to it as a Third Age campaign, because it just doesn't seem right when this is set technically within the Third Age. And I haven't really looked into it too much, but wasn't that Amazon Lord of the Rings TV show meant to be set in the Second Age? Is it meant to be set on Numenor before it was sunk, or is it around about this area as they're technically the Numenoreans in exile in Middle-earth now? Alright, so let's move up here with the King's Guard, the King's Heavy Infantry, and King Anarian. Oh, it's like, I always tend to say, because I've been playing Warhammer a lot recently, King Anarian. Anarian. Yeah, Anarian is the descendant of the High Elves, or ancestor of the High Elves, rather. But Anarian, maybe it's just however you say it. Maybe they're both pronounced the same way. Can I just turn this up a little bit? There we go. I just want to make things a little bit louder. Now, unfortunately, I've had to mute the music on this mod because copyrighted music. Warner Brothers and whoever owns the Lord of the Rings ODST and various stuff just claim stuff ridiculously. So I'm going to have to do my own sound score in the editing process. So I'm not going to hear any Lord of the Rings music. I'm just going to have to sort of imagine it, I guess. But in the editing process for this series, I'm sure you would have noticed in previous Third Age campaigns, I essentially have to do my own sound score from various Total Wars and stuff and edit it. Just thought I'd let you guys know. And be honest than anything. Right, so that's good. So now that's gone up. We just want to drop that RAM. I don't know what's bugging out there, but that looks so weird. Okay, so now that the gate's down, do they seem to be counter-charging us through the breach? No. That's okay. Well, what we'll do is yeah, good. We can actually find a space there. So form up. We'll move my archers up as well. and we'll invoke a shield wall. Okay, so we've got two options here. We can potentially arc our shot. I actually don't know. We might be able to arc our shot up and over the Minas Ithil walls. If not, the gateway might be large enough to get an angle. Because then we're only using one swordsman, and we can keep the rest of our infantry comfortably, safe, and secure in reserve. Now, depending on where they sit, yeah, we might be able to get an angle here. Okay, so we are trying to get an angle of them. I don't know why we were started off with a flammable ammunition. Oh, here they go. So they've actually centered themselves better. And now with the orcs of Mordor engaging the king's heavy infantry in a shield wall formation, they've actually opened themselves up a little bit better. But it seems to be bugging out more so than anything. Yeah. Oh, the gateway is now ours. Fortunately enough for me, there isn't arrow towers galore in this siege. So our swordsmen should be able to make quick work of the orc warband and carve through the Mordor scourge like carving a cake. Allow my archers as well to try and get some firepower support, reduce the hit points of our men as best we can. So we're in a shield wall formation. We've only lost 8 of our men. I'm curious to see the casualties sustained and what's going to be inflicted in this. Because they had the general unit, of course, but they also had a lot of spearmen. Oh, so we've lost 1% and we've killed 20. Wow, that's a little bit deceiving. Those archers are doing tremendously well. So we'll send up one unit at a time and allow my archers to once again and try and carry and do most of the heavy lifting. Skirmishers and heavy cavalry. We are getting a little bit of friendly fire from behind. Oh, they're actually firing their own arch. I was like, why is there fire still going on? There's actually, I'm assuming, enemy fire coming in from them. Come on, can you come up a little bit further, please? Like, we were doing better a little bit before. I might need to send up some more reinforcements. If we can somehow, like, maybe move to the right, that'll be right. But we seem to be getting decent morale debuffs on them. Shaken and whatnot. They seem to be hitting a lot of their own troops than anything. Still 75% within our favour. But we're making the King's heavy infantry earn their worth. So let's just try and move up some of the heavies now, because they are a second tier chevron, but they're losing a little bit too many men for my liking. So let's try and reform and move everyone in. But the siege of Minas Morgul usually is a little bit grindy. Oh, they're actually in a full retreat now. Good. But cost effectiveness, we've done quite well there. With one unit and archers in support. So there's a little bit of an angle there. Yeah, so they can't. So unfortunately they can't seem to arc their shots up and over the walls, which is a bit of a shame. They only can fire them direct on. Whoa! I didn't mean to do that. I forgot that camera angle shoots all the way up. But they seem to do it. Yeah. Because that's a hell of a shot. Since when were these orcs master archers? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe going like over here, forming up might be a little bit better. But I've sounded the charge. All the infantry available to King and Aryan is now going to march and go in. For the liberation of Minas Ithil. For Numenor. For High King Elendil. Yeah, so for now, I think our greatest adversary is Mordor. So, at the moment, I'm not going to have like a clear economical construction and recruitment split between Arnor and Gondor. I'm very much going to focus on Gondor to try and get rid of the Dark Lord as quickly as possible before he gains territory, renowned, decent quality armies, and higher tier recruitment capacity. For all intensive purposes, I'm going to rush Mordor, because that's the play, especially on this difficulty. Some people don't like that, but hey, whatever. To each their own. Okay, so we'll give out some individual attack orders, and we'll allow my archers to move in as well. But I'm curious to see, how this campaign goes once we get 50 to 100 turns in. Because normally I don't particularly like playing with a faction that's so divided like this. Because you essentially play with 3 zones. You've got Gondor, which you're focusing on Mordor, which if we purely focus on, we'll be fine. We don't get distracted by... Yeah, they've got the elves hanging out in the forest of Gondor. I think they're elves of Lothlorien as well. Maybe I should send a diplomat there instead of sending one all the way to Galadriel. Yeah. So we've lost 6% to their 50. So we've done it half of the army before the initial infantry charge. We've only got 1 man left in that King's heavy infantry unit. And some of them are getting their shots now up and over the top. Yeah, it must be a rangefinder or something. Maybe the general unit's only perhaps doing it. But fierce fighting is making its way in the Minas Ithil town square. Orcs and the brave men of Numenor are battling it out. Yeah. So I think sort of our main adversary is probably going to be Sauron. So I guess Nazguls aren't a part of this time period just yet. It's mostly going to be fierce orcish warriors. Maybe, I don't know. This is my first time playing The Last Alliance, so it is technically a blind let's play. I'm sure there'll be a whole host of surprises. Alright, sweet. Slowly but surely progressing into the town square. We've only just hit 50% of our timer now. I've made the decision to do that. You've got to. Especially when recording for YouTube. Medieval 2, sometimes the battles... sometimes the battles glitch on the vanilla campaign experience. Let alone Third Age. I think probably one of the main reasons that I put the timer on for all medieval campaigns from now on is I think it was because of vanilla Third Age. I have a distinct memory now saying this, that I was trying to take Mordor. Not Mordor, it must have been, Moria. It must have been one of the various goblin outcropping settlements, as it were, and, well, you can kind of guess, my infantry fell through the earth in one of those custom battles, and I ended up losing because of it. Which is a shame, but that's why you need to be able to have the timer there and such. Because even if the enemy can sort of cheese it as well. Their units can fall through the earth. It was an absolute clustercluck. Alright. So we're slowly but surely taking the town square. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely the play to allow the archers to reduce most of the hit points. But, yeah. I even thought some of the... I'm just doing like a quick comparison. I think the Gondor army in Dak, Divide and Conquer, probably performed a little bit better. But maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on the first lower to mid-tier units for Arnor. Or Numenor, rather, just yet. I guess Arnor was a little bit of a Freudian slip, because I think or not all, but some of these units you could have had access to when you forge Arnor in the vanilla base campaign. What is that? Is it free people? Yeah, it's free people with area door, isn't it? That's what you start off as, towards the Bree and Shire and Weathertop region. I did do an Arnor campaign a long time ago. A long time ago. I do have a lot of Third Age campaigns on the channel. Gondor and Rohan I've done within the last year or so. So I do recommend them, but maybe the older ones, potentially not. The older you go back on the channel, the squeakier my voice gets. And the poorer the quality of content, in my opinion. So we'll try and get some of these spearmen here now to potentially wrap around to invoke the morale surrounding mechanic. Yeah, some of them seem to be holding on, but it keeps them going back and forth to shaken and routing. Yeah, they seem to be holding off here quite well. Those orc cleavers I'm struggling to break down, and my archers, even though I commanded them to get into that pocket, they're struggling to get their shots off and find some space. So we started off well, but we've had to make our infantry absolute work for their wages. Let's drop a couple inspires and rallies. 95%. 30%. Alright, maybe halt now, because they're causing more friendly fire than what it's worth. So we've got the infantry and the general's bodyguard now pushing in. Let's continue on. Enemy general fallen. Lagthak. And we've initiated the countdown. 3 minutes remaining. Good. Now the Numenorean guards are working. Hey! So, we lost 605. Not too bad. The Eldar call themselves the Drudane, emitting themselves to the rank of a... Oh god, these names, man. It's the whole, like... I've mentioned this before, but my fantasy just gets all mashed into the one thing. Like, there's River Run in... so there's River Run in Game of Thrones. There's River Run in Third Age. There's like... what is the other one? Raven... What's the one in Sky? Riverwood? Like, it all just gets sort of mashed together after a bit. Like, I feel like you only can follow a couple of fantasy genres at the same time. Or Warhammer stuff as well. Because it all just mashes together a little bit, doesn't it? But yeah, the first sort of fantasy I got into was Lord of the Rings. Quite naturally, because those movies were peak teenage and child simp, and then I got into like Game of Thrones in my teenage years. But I always get recommended various fantasy genres. Oh, you should get into this one. I was like, it's such an effort to remember all of it, because they've just got such rich laws and fantasies and stuff. So what's this? The Gondor Homeland. Make a claim. Oh yeah, so that's what I want to eventually make Gondor in this series. Build it, as it were. So there's 3 units there. And Kerith Dueth. Okay, so we might sally force and just engage that. Yeah, so they're not drawing in anyone else. So let's auto-resolve that. 28. And I guess we'll try and siege this. And we'll move my spy in and around. Ugru. Okay, that must be a wildman. He doesn't look very orky. The Hillman of the North. Trade and map information. I'm not opposed to the map information. And it's probably going to be quite some time before we go after the hillman. So maybe I'm more inclined to accept than anything. We'll do that for now, even though I want to war them.
You enough for accepting. An honor and a...
Okay, guys, welcome to the top of the turn. So, we've got a full stack in operation in Minas Ithil, which you would have seen.
Yes.
And we've got King Isildur and his son Elendor heading further south. So we've got another full stack operating towards the Tharbad. We want to go retake that village that we lost during the end phase. And we'll get High King Elendil to rally up. I've also got a small army here, just below half a stack, between Helm's Deep and Isengard. And we'll try and take some territory there. We've got more reinforcements, slowly but surely surging into Minas Ithil, swelling our ranks. We'll try and take Cirith Duath here today as well. And we'll chuck them in, and I guess we'll just auto-resolve that one as well once we pull there. Sweet. Sweet as. Everything is coming up Millhouse, or Elendil, I guess. Orc Cleavers, some battalion there as well. 11, 7. Total defense 17. Crikey, some of them are good. So let's get rid of Ungru, a formidable Mordor commander. And let's sack, I guess. Alrighty guys, well, unfortunately on that note, it's time to wind things down. Thank you very much for watching the first episode of my DCI Last Alliance Kingdom of Numenor, the Numenorean Let's Play. Just got to thank each and every one of you for all the fantastic support on this first episode. Stay tuned for episode 2 coming out tomorrow as we continue to follow my plan that I've laid out heaps in this episode. We'll focus on Mordor. We'll have a couple of battles against the Wildmen of the West, as it were. We'll make preparations to securing Numenorean territory in Rohan, but we always must sort of remember and never forget of Harad, Rune, the Dwarves, the Wildmen of the North, and sort of invading enemy forces on the periphery. But thanks guys for watching. Much love from Australia. Goodbye. Unfortunately guys, it is time to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comment section down below your feedback for the series, and if you would like to see more, that's the best way to ensure more content. Leave a dislike if you're not enjoying the series. Check out my social media links if you want to stay connected with me. Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, all in the description below. Patreon and merchandise link in the description below, along with the Steam group. Come and join the community on Steam. And on that note, unfortunately, I have to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching once again. Make sure to take care of yourselves. Go out and have a fantastic rest of your day. My name has been Simpzy. Goodbye.